We go out there and we pit our wits against each other. We deploy whatever methods and strategies we believe will work. We fight the good fight. And at the end, it goes back to our principals who render their verdict. They have. And what we can do now is to pull together.
President Duma Boko meets the opposition, a new chapter for Botswana's politics. Watch as the two leaders engage in rare, open dialogue aimed at unity, peace, and progress for the nation. Many are calling this a historic moment for Botswana's democracy. After President Duma Boko's opening remarks, the atmosphere shifted.
And what we can do now is to pull together, because it's ultimately about the country, about these people, not us. We are merely their servants and their trumpet voices as we've offered ourselves. And so I extend a brotherly embrace, a hand of friendship, collaboration, of course, competition along the way, which is natural in a democracy. And I may hazard one or two thoughts at the outset. And the first is really about our democracy and our politics. I take the view that our politics needs to be rescued from being bitterly competitive, from acerbic exchanges and utterances, disparagements that are ad hominem, that focus on the person and not the issues. We need to raise our politics above that crass level and reach a level where it is genuinely about ideas and solutions. That when we differ, first we appreciate each other's points of view, because it is important. That one must not misrepresent the other in order to create a straw man and then debate the straw man and avoid the critical issues raised by the other. That we appreciate the point of view and we engage with that point of view honestly, looking at the facts, the circumstances, and we critique, because that's what we must do. We must critique each other, we must critique ourselves. And it helps when you not only critique yourself, but you also listen to those who see things from a different perspective. The problem with politicians is that we tend to think we hold the absolute truth, and that when we disagree with the other person, we dismiss them, we disparage them, and we forget that they may actually also have some fragment of the truth, which we need to put together with the fragment that we have in order to construct a total picture of the truth. And so it's important for us to do this. It's also important for us to exchange information where we can and where we should. There's no reason why information should be withheld, because it informs the discourse. The second issue is, I think, how we conduct our debates and approaches in Parliament. I was casually sharing with some of the members of Parliament when I stopped by the other day and said to them, in terms of the Constitution, Parliament can bind the executive, and Parliament binds the executive by discharging its functions in terms of Section 86 of the Constitution, which is to make laws for the good governance and order of the Republic. So when Parliament discharges that function of making laws, an obligation then follows on the executive to enforce, to implement those laws. So I think the real focus of our Parliament should be in large part to review all the pieces of legislation that we have, look at how they interrelate, where there are incongruities either in policy or in legislation. We need to step in very quickly. We don't have the luxury of time and realign to make sure that we have an institutional repertory that functions for the good of the country. We owe it to the nation to do this. And we also must deepen our democracy as best we can. We make it more energized. So we must re-energize, develop the democracy, and make sure that we raise the bar. We are that generation that must raise the bar, not just for the country, but for the region and the continent. And we need each other in the discharge of all these responsibilities. So thank you very much for coming. And I know the clamor out there, and I've heard in particular the likes of Kenny Kapinga, member for Chobe, Okavang, saying we must fire people. It's an elegant and compelling proposition. But if we assert ourselves as a democracy where we are governed by the rule of law, we also must pay attention to the fact that there's due process, even as we desire to fire. We must uphold the fundamental rights of those whom we think should be fired, because we need to establish cause, reasonable, justifiable cause to fire. You don't just wake up and fire a person because you don't like them or you think their politics doesn't align with yours. Sometimes this misalignment of politics leads to a proper alignment of focus and outcomes, because then you can push each other hard and challenge all the propositions that are put on the table. So I hear their sentiments. I respect their point of view, but I think we need to be slow to react in an emotive manner. We need to reflect on the realities from all angles. At the end of it all, respect and uphold the integrity of every citizen of the country, or every person who is in the country, because that's what the Constitution says, as every person in Botswana.
Like you said, the voters have decided. They've passed a verdict. They have said you and your party should form a government and be in control of the executive arm of government. They gave you a majority of the seats in the National Assembly. They gave my party the second highest number of seats, meaning that we assume the role of the official opposition in parliament, and I become the leader of the opposition. Can I identify what in other jurisdictions they like to refer to as bipartisan issues of national concern, where we can build some consensus? So you can count on me to engage with you, to identify those issues, and to see how we try and forge some national consensus about the direction in which we want to take the country, even as we may disagree on other issues, be they policy or pieces of legislation brought to Parliament. I also think, and by the way, I was not there when you talked about Parliament and Section 86 and Parliament truly playing its role. But I have been briefed by some who were there, and I have said to them, I fully agree with him. I agree with the President on that note, that the duty of Parliament is to make laws. And members of Parliament who are accorded the privilege to serve in the National Assembly must take pride in knowing that at the end of the term, they would be able to look back and say, either I took a leading role in bringing this piece of legislation to Parliament, or I reshaped what the other colleagues had brought to Parliament. I improved for the benefit of our populace. So we will play our part. We will play our part as the opposition and focus on presenting our alternative views in the form of laws, which is what Parliament does. And yes, we will play our part in deepening our democracy. It's a discussion I look forward to having with you even beyond today's engagement, because we fortunately can say that we do have some known shared values around issues of democracy. You will need just to look at previous manifestos of both your party and my party and say, but on these particular areas, clearly you were singing from the same hymn. So I look forward to that further engagement. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The leader of opposition, he will need your assistance from time to time. Help him, work with him, and don't regard him as an outsider or an enemy. He's a citizen, he's a leader, he has a role to play. He has to play that role to the best of his ability, and also he has a constituency to which he accounts, and he must also present as seriously as he can the views from that constituency. And that constituency is also part of the citizenry, a part of the country. So we have a great deal of respect and admiration for all of them. And we will do the very best to assist all the views to be ventilated openly, freely, and to be examined thoroughly, and appropriate decisions that unite us will be taken. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As Botswana turns a new page, President Duma Boko's meeting with the opposition signals hope for a united future. The world now watches to see if words will become action, and if this moment marks the beginning of lasting change for the nation. And this is the African Journalist on Africa Rising. As Botswana embraces a new political chapter, President Duma Boko's dialogue with the opposition reminds us, unity is the heartbeat of true progress across Africa.